Jefferson was really the only president we've ever had who was, in effect, a pacifist. In his personal dealings with people, he would abhor confrontation. He'd do everything he can to avoid it. He'd go out of his way not to talk to people he'd have to argue with. And as a politician and as a president, he decided to craft new ways of solving problems without resort to war. The most famous of them was the Louisiana Purchase, where for the first time the United States, and first country in the world, bought land, just like a real estate transaction, as opposed to the usual way, which was to conquer it. And that was an important precedent that was set for the global economy. His other efforts at pacifism were less successful. The most disastrous of them was the embargo. Confronted with British attacks on American ships that were thought to be aiding the French in the war between Britain and France, Jefferson decided to embargo all trade from American ports. The theory was that if we're not sending them products, they can't raid our ships and won't sink them. And literally it was sort of turning in on ourselves and cutting ourselves off from all foreign trade. And it was a fiasco. It ended up destroying the American economy, particularly that in New England, and it was such a disaster that toward the end of his administration, Jefferson stopped enforcing it, and as soon as Madison took over, he repealed it. The other attempt of Jefferson to be a pacifist was that after the war with the Barbary pirates, he accepted that he would have to pay a ransom to get back American prisoners who were taken in the course of the war. And then after that, he stopped building a navy, and instead he decided he would invest in flat-bottomed river boats that would patrol within the United States and were part of a totally defensive strategy toward the rest of the world. When eventually things with Britain boiled over and it led to the War of 1812, 4 years after Jefferson left office, Madison, his successor, was left without a navy, a very small navy, and the American military had to be built from the ground up to avert a humiliating defeat in the War of 1812. In the nick of time, some very effective American sailors managed to redeem our honor on the seas, and Andrew Jackson redeemed it at home on the land by winning the Battle of New Orleans. But the consequences of Jefferson's pacifism were terrible in the War of 1812. Thanks for watching.